Good day, all. Hope you're all staying safe. My name is Prijith PK. I'm an out and proud gay and president of Queerythm LGBTIQ community. June is celebrated as Pride Month worldwide. Pride is something to be proud of our identity, existence, and struggle. Shades is an online platform jointly organized by Queerythm and NSUI Pondicherry. Join us to unlearn and relearn. We will be online on 28th June 6:30 p.m. Let's join together and clear off the stigma. Love makes a family.
Hey, I'm Hayan Ramesh. I'm a trans masculine person. Myself and my community has been facing a lot of issues in due course of life. We have been marginalized and denied opportunities in many sections of the society. I will be sharing a platform named Shades with NSUI Pondicherry University on 28th June 6:30 p.m. where I will be sharing my experiences as well as the problems my community has been facing. Join me, let's break this stigma together.
Hi everyone, I am Arathi. Me myself identify as a bisexual person. My community and myself have been facing so many issues in due course of life. We have been marginalized and denied basic human rights and opportunities in different sectors of this society. So I will be sharing a platform named Shades with NSUI Pondicherry University on 28th June 6:30 p.m. where I will be opening up about my life experiences and problems our community has been facing. So be there, let's clear the stigma together. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Abhijith S. I'm an out and proud gay man, Joint Secretary of QUEERYTHM LGBTIQ organization. Myself and my community have been facing a lot of problems and challenges in this due course of life. We have been marginalized and denied opportunities from every sections of the society. I'm happy to announce that I will be sharing a platform called Shades with NSUI Pondicherry University on 28th of June, 6:30 p.m., where I will be opening up about my life and the challenges we have been facing as a whole community. So join me, let's break this stigma together.
A very young lady, but a lady who has enormous acumen, enormous knowledge, and she's done a phenomenal job at a very young age. I'll introduce you all to Vidya Dinakaran. She is the counselor who had recently counseled Justice Anand Venkatesh.
Hello all, I'm Vidya Dinakaran, a psychotherapist. I worked on the recent Madras High Court case concerning the rights of a homosexual couple. The judgment bans any form of conversion therapy and also offers more protection for the rights of the queer people. I will be joining the Shades platform organized by NSUI Pondicherry University, where we talk more about the struggles which this community faces and also what can be done about it. Please ask your doubts if you have any. And I'm hoping to see you all on 28th of June at 6:30 p.m. Let's clear the stigma together.
We will be starting the program within 5 minutes.
Good day, all. Hope you're all staying safe. My name is Prijith PK. I'm an out and proud gay and president of Queerythm LGBTIQ community. June is celebrated as Pride Month worldwide. Pride is something to be proud of our identity, existence, and struggle. Shades is an online platform jointly organized by Queerythm and NSUI Pondicherry. Join us to unlearn and relearn. We will be online on 28th June 6:30 p.m. Let's join together and clear off the stigma. Love makes a family.
Hey, I'm Hayan Ramesh. I'm a trans masculine person. Myself and my community has been facing a lot of issues in due course of life. We have been marginalized and denied opportunities in many sections of the society. I will be sharing a platform named Shades with NSUI Pondicherry University on 28th June 6:30 p.m. where I will be sharing my experiences as well as the problems my community has been facing. Join me, let's break this stigma together.
Hi everyone, I am Arathi. Me myself identify as a bisexual person. My community and myself have been facing so many issues in due course of life. We have been marginalized and denied basic human rights and opportunities in different sectors of this society. So I will be sharing a platform named Shades with NSUI Pondicherry University on 28th June 6:30 p.m. where I will be opening up about my life experiences and problems our community has been facing. So be there, let's clear the stigma together. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Abhijith S. I'm an out and proud gay man, Joint Secretary of Queerythm LGBTIQ organization. Myself and my community have been facing a lot of problems and challenges in this due course of life. We have been marginalized and denied opportunities from every sections of the society. I'm happy to announce that I will be sharing a platform called Shades with NSUI Pondicherry University on 28th of June 6:30 p.m. where I will be opening up about my life and the challenges we have been facing as a whole community. So join me, let's break this stigma together.
A very young lady, but a lady who has enormous acumen, enormous knowledge, and she's done a phenomenal job at a very young age. I'll introduce you all to Vidya Dinakaran. She is the counselor who had recently counseled Justice Anand Venkatesh.
Hello all, I'm Vidya Dinakaran, a psychotherapist. I worked on the recent Madras High Court case concerning the rights of a homosexual couple. The judgment bans any form of conversion therapy and also offers more protection for the rights of the queer people. I will be joining the Shades platform organized by NSUI Pondicherry University, where we talk more about the struggles which this community faces and also what can be done about it. Please ask your doubts if you have any. And I'm hoping to see you all on 28th of June at 6:30 p.m. Let's clear the stigma together.
Welcome one and all present here. My name is Nevinam Johnson, and I will be the coordinator for today's program. So, NSUI PU have always played its part in the society. We have always initiated awareness programs. We have always involved in ourselves into social issues that needs to be addressed by the society as well as by the student community. So, as a part of many of our initiatives, we are today hosting the Shades program in association with QUEERYTHM to eliminate the transphobia and homophobia that exist in our field, in our society. So now I invite Sonata to give the welcome speech.
Good evening, everyone and all present here. I am Sonata Starlet Sarangi. Welcome to the awareness webinar Shades, organized by National Students Union of India, Pondicherry University in collaboration with Queerythm. We, the NSUI Pondicherry University, is a group of students that tries to take up and address a whole load of issues happening inside Pondicherry University amongst the students community with the sole purpose of ensuring the welfare of our community. We also consider it as our duty and responsibility as Indians and social beings to take up national and international events of importance to create awareness and cause actions within our community. Our presence is there in almost all the platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, where you can view of our various activities undertaken by us. The topic of the webinar has relevance with today's date, that is June 28th. This month, all across the world, is identified as Pride Month, an entire month dedicated to raise awareness as well as strengthen the people in the society who identify themselves as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or any other member who doesn't associate with the only classification of sex and sexual preference that the society agrees. This day is celebrated as Pride Day, which commemorates the Stonewall riots, considered the most important event in gay liberation movement in the United States. The six-decade-old movement that happened in USA is considered as the milestone event in USA as well as across the world in defense of the LGBTQ community, a collective response to the frustration generated by the homophobia of the era. So, what is the need? But does this mean that they must declare a whole month to celebrate and commemorate activism? The answer lies with our society itself, how the society has treated them. That their plight in India is visible from the widespread stigma stemming from colonial implementation of European law in the modern day populace. Even though the instance regarding queer communities is mentioned even in our holy scriptures, the society was forced to consider as them as sinful and impure due to explicit mentions and negligence of this in addressing such issues. Such mentions were translated to strong contempt against any such practices. Some of the people are able to come out as proud of what they are. Some others struggle a lot, deprived of any support and acceptance from the society. Many others hide their individualism just to go with the standards that the society dictates. In recent times, the living conditions and media representations have been improving, especially in terms of representation of the queer people. However, it lacks creation of awareness and acceptance of their existence through formal basic education system. It is high time that we look into these issues and address them properly. It is high time for us to give them a chance for their voice to reach us. It is high time we must sensitize ourselves. So, coming into the panel, today we have with us people consisting, each of them representing some aspects of the community. I heartily welcome Prijith K, Hayan Ramesh, Arathi MR, Abhijith S from the Queerythm, a group that represents LGBTQ community, who are here to share their life experiences with us. We also have Advocate Avani Bansal, the Supreme Court advocate, and Vidya Dinakaran, a psychotherapist and psychologist with us, who are both associated with the queer people. We also have Karthik Heber, a renowned artist from the queer community, to entertain us and enlighten us. To introduce each one of them means to rob the precious time we have with us, available to interact with them. This is the opportunity to share their life experiences and challenges. So, without further ado, let us begin our program. Let me use this opportunity to once again welcome each and everyone present here. Let's clear off this social stigma together. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Sonata. So I'll explain how the program is going to be today. I will be allotting 10 minutes for each speaker. Each will be allotted maximum of 10 minutes, and after all the panelist speeches, there will be a Q&A session. Then and finally, there will be a music performance by Mr. Karthik Habar. So first, I would like to invite Prijith PK. He's a founder and president of QUEERYTHM. He is also a resource person at Social Justice Department, and he is also a Ph.D. scholar at University of KILA. Welcome, sir.
Okay. Now it's up. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and happy Pride all. Thank you, NSUI Pondicherry, because I know, it's a hard to coordinate such an event, because you guys tried, started 3 or 4 weeks priorly to initiate such an, event today. And 50 years back, as the person who welcomed us pointed out, it was started 52 years back at a village in New York called Stonewall Inn, the beginning of LGBTIQ movements worldwide. I think as a progressive society, as a modern world, we have to be ashamed because we, waited for many times or much time to recognize the rights of LGBTIQ people, the rights of, or the human rights of some people among us, some people among, the community, some people among the so-called democratic world or progressive world. But another shaming thing, if I say, India, the world's largest democracy, it took 2018, which means many more years to recognize people among us, but not legally. If I say not legally, in 2014 we have the famous or the historic landmark judgment by the Supreme Court, which recognized transgender individuals in India and restricted their legal recognition in terms of civil rights. I'm not explaining all the things regarding the verdict, but in 2018, a British colonial, Victorian moral law, which was decriminalized. We have to be, bow our head down because we violated or we restricted human rights for many people because of their identity, because of their gender, because of their sexuality, love, their wish to live in this beautiful world. And congrats to the entire team again. And as a queer individual, as a research scholar, I've been suffering many issues regarding my identity from my childhood to schooling time, maybe to college days, and after that. I was confused of my identity. During my school time, I thought, I will be the only person. I will be the only person who loves another, guy, who loves or who feels the kind of love to another, same gendered person, which makes me more or gave me more trouble, maybe focusing on my studies, maybe my career, maybe my even concentrating many things during that. Later, I realized that I am not the only person who troubled or who had undergone these kind of issues. Maybe psychological issues. Psychological means we underwent so much of pressure, so much of stigma, and face
so much of discrimination. I know this is a cliche, dialogue maybe, but this is a sad reality. When you speak to a queer individual or a gay, bisexual, transgender, lesbian, or whatever identity they possess, they all have these kind of life stories which they were faced discrimination, bullying, and many such things. So how we manage to survive, how we manage to keep those things away. That was we the queer people never want to recollect, but we always recollect to boost our energy. We always recollect those things to achieve many more things. So I would like to say my viewers or listeners, if there are any queer individuals, just forget your past and focus your career, focus your future, because nobody, uh, maybe not our family, not the society, not the legal systems or government will give any kind of protection or something. It's only you can protect you, or only you can rescue, only you can stand for your rights. The issues maybe we face in all the time, in our all time we struggle, maybe the issues from or in terms of queer phobia or prejudice or mentality of others or stereotyping. So how to end these kind of prejudicistic approaches or phobia related attacks or psychological distress that we are undergoing or underwent? We have to ask, somebody mentioned earlier, we have to make sure we are not others. Always people considering the kind of othering of queer people or marginalized people or disabled bodies or such voiceless community. So we are not others, we are part of the society. We have the same or the equal right to enjoy or live here as many others. But are we eligible? Are we eligible to enjoy such things? No. Thanks to, again, Vidya Dinagaran. I'm so happy you are attending this program. Because, Justice Anand Venkatesh rightly pointed out, the prejudicistic mentality of our legal systems. Maybe in 2013, Supreme Court of India recriminalized PC 377 and gave a chance to our parliament, to their wisdom. And what they have done nothing. They just erase the possibility, they just ignored the possibility to present the whole world the dignity of our constitution, or the greatness of our constitution regarding equality, justice, and fraternity. But they just ignored the rights of LGBTIQ folks here. They just ignored our existence. They just erased the people who live here. It is very clear. We only thank to the judicial activism. We only thankful to the judicial system in India, who gave us a kind of recognition, kind of acceptance, kind of receptance, like we queer people are also living here, have the right to live here. So I just remembering those verdicts from Supreme Court and other high courts of India. Maybe the Madras High Court's verdict will not be the last. That we are expecting many more such verdicts and solidarity from judicial system, also from government. But I don't know what they will do. Maybe the present central government, we are hopeless, because as I mentioned, 2014 there was a law or a verdict by the Supreme Court which legalized transgender individuals, accepted their citizenship or something. And 2018, we have IPC 377 verdict. But what they did, they never allowed us to marry. They never allow us to inherit properties. They never allow us such number of, I can name such civil rights, denied such civil rights, or they never considered such things. Maybe they are to be considered by the governments, governments, maybe state government or central government, but they never considered such things. So, as a living being in this world or in this country, I too have equal right that have to be remembered or considered by others. Maybe some of your friends may approach you and come out to you and reveal their identity. What you're supposed to do? Do you discriminate? Do you keep that guy or girl away? What happens to some effeminated people in your campus? So we have to be more open to all kind of such identities. And always people think like there are transgender people, there are gay, lesbian, but my brother or my sister or there will not be any queer individual in my family. No chance. No, it's a mistaken. It's a wrong thought. There are chances. So we have to give an opportunity to come out. We have to give an opportunity to embrace diversity. We have to give all chances to open up our identities, our inness. I can recollect during my school time, I was forced to love or acted like a so-called heteronormative man or boy who in love with a girl. I acted like that. And what kind of trauma which maybe I supposed to suffer during that time. Nobody near me, even my family can even recognize or accept, or even they can't open up things. Still there are many people, there are many such students, children, teachers, many people in our society, they're struggling to even identify what they are, what may be their identity, and how to open it. Because the fear we are having, we are processing, maybe we may be discriminated or rejected or isolated from the so-called heteronormative world. So we have to be more sensitized, we have to be open up, we have to be ready to accept diversities, not only limited in queer individuals or queer identities, but all kinds of diversities, so that the world can be enjoyed by all the individuals, all the people, because we have equal rights. Thanks to Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and thanks to the feminist movement in the world, all the world, which created a kind of notion of equality and queer protests and movements around the world. But some cisgendered heteronormative interests which are leading the country are propagating, we are abnormal, we are so and so people, so we can't accept a queer individuals. So we have to raise voices against these kind of prejudiced mentalities again. So come back to your campus. Are your campus is inclusive? Just think about your campus. Are your campus is ready to accept diversities? Will you accept a gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, whatever identity in your campus? If they, ready to come out, you have to. A Pondicherry University can showcase such things to rest of the universities in our nation and rest of the places and campuses, that we are ready to embrace diversities. We are ready to revise the so-called orthodox beliefs to accept all peoples around us. So I think this is this will be such an initiative to start or begin this kind of talks, discussions, and Queerythm always ready to cooperate with you. Queerythm is always ready to embrace you. Queerythm always ready to assist you in all ways. And thank you very much. And I'm so happy to receive questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We'll be having the Q&A session after the panel's speeches. So next, I would like to invite Hayan Ramesh, coordinator of Amigos, Transmen Collective, to the stage. Hayan Ramesh.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, Hayan. Yes, Hayan. Please go ahead.
Okay. Myself, Hayan, and I'm a trans masculine person. First of all, I'm really glad for NSUI Pondicherry University and QUEERYTHM Amigos Transmen Collective for giving me such an opportunity to interact with such wonderful people here. Mm, I just want to interact with you guys more than talking. I just want to talk about my community people and the problems that we face in today's atmosphere. Mm, as a transgender person or as a trans student, I have to face a lot of problems during my, especially during my study period or during my school days. It was really a very hard time. And when such campuses host such kind of programs, I'm really glad for that, because this is a symbol that we get to know that there are changes happening. And during my childhood, I used to hear many things like you have to be like this or you have to like that to be a man or a woman. Here, we just need to recognize all these people who make us to be in a consolidated or a constructive atmosphere that makes us our lives really pathetic or
Hayan, you are on mute mode.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm audible.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. What I was saying was that when I was a student, I used to suffer very much just because of my gender identity or sexual orientation. The teachers who teach me never knew what a gender identity or sexual orientation is. Even when I used to talk them about misgendering a person, it's really harmful. You know, it's really it hurts most when you get misgendered just because who you are. During my school days, my teachers really used to call me names or things like that, which made me a very which turned out me into a very depressed state. And the only thing was that I was just supported by my family or by my mother. On talking about my family, my mother was my greatest support. She was always there by my side. I think I used to find out my identity when I was 13 or 14, and I just came out to my parents. And that time there was a program known as Satyameva Jayate, and where Amir Khan was a host, I think. And at the time, I was seeing a trans woman who was enclosing her gender identity, and I used to think, okay, this is something what's happening with me. But I never knew there are people known as trans masculines or trans men people. I just started Googling about it, or I started sharing people about my experiences. Most of my friends who were very much, people are not much educated about what sexuality or gender is. So they were always asking me not to give an enclosures to this at such a stage, because that might distract my future or something like that. But I used to open up everything, especially to my parents and my friends. And my mother was always there by my side. When I openly told her that I can't be like this, mama, I can't be like this, she was like, it's okay to be who you are, because she just wanted me as her child, not like either as a man or as a woman. And she was there when I could openly say that I'm a person who started my HRT or hormone replacement therapy as a minor when I was 17-year-old. Just because my parent was there for me, I never entered in depression or something like that. There was a stage when I thought like I just need to end my life here. But at such a point, my parents was there with me. They asked me to be what I am. And they started educating themselves, and also they were the people who they started talking to my teachers, to my friends, and to everyone who were associated with me. They started educating them about sexualities and gender. Even when I'm having a brother who is just a 13-year-old, he knows about this gender diversities. He is a kid who is accepting all these gender identities and diverse people. And that was the greatest thing I could ever do with my life, I would say. Because when you raise a kid as a human being, that's the biggest thing you can say, you can give them or you can do to them. As an example, I could say my brother, who is, as I said, he is just a 13-year-old. But even if he is going for some elocution competitions or something like that, initially he was like, at the starting stage, he was like, ladies and gentlemen. But after I came up in my identity, all of it, all of it suddenly changed as he started talking like ladies, gentlemen, and gender queer. You might not feel it like a large difference, but to me, it is a very huge step that he could do at his age. And as I said, at my schooling time, I used to go through many traumatic situations where, as Prijith said, we have to act like cisgender people to be accepted by the society. During my schoolings, mathematics was my favorite subject, but the teacher always used to, humiliate me in front of other students. She used to call me from, if even I'm walking some verandas or something like that, she used to call me and she used to make joke of me like, this is not the way a girl should walk, or this is not the way you should talk to someone, or this is not the way you should look to other persons. I was deeply hurted by her, but then that changed my life, I would say. I started understanding that these people won't change. Instead, I have to educate myself. I can, that it was really impossible for me to educate other people, but it was easy for me to understand what I am and to be open up to the people who could understand me, and that helped me in my life. I was taken to more than 14 or 15 psychologists when I was a teenager, but then all of them were really toxic to me. There were just a phobic people who asked me to change my gender identity just for my parents or for the society. I was like, daughter, I can't be like that, or I can't be something pretend. I can't live like someone, or I can't pretend to be someone. I just wanted to be myself. That's all I wanted. But then there were many financial tortures as well as for my parents, and also mental tortures that I have received from those people. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Those tortures in my life made it very much traumatic that I was not even able to talk to someone for more than 3 or 4 years. I was all in a closet, and it was very difficult for me to interact with people. And times it haunts me till it have been more than 4 or 3 years back, but still it haunts me sometimes because that much depression that the age gives me just because I openly came out as what I am. Even the teachers were like, you can't be like, or you are just pretending like someone else. I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm like this. I can't change for you, or I can't change for anybody else. I just wanted to be all I wanted was to be myself. But they couldn't recognize it. They couldn't recognize my need, or they couldn't recognize my identity. As I said, there are many psychologists or psychiatrists who, even this conversion therapies are illegal. There are many people who do that just for their financial needs. And my family was a victim of such a thing. They were financially drained out. And many of them give my parents a word that they will change my identity, gender identity, or sexual orientation by giving me therapies or something like that. But I was a blessed child because my parents never asked me to take any medicines that they given to me. And finally, at the age of 17, I met a psychologist who was a lifesaver, I should say. She was a person who talked to my parents about what is gender identity, what is sexual orientation, what is happening with me, that I'm a trans masculine person. All these things she explained to them very calmly, as if this is a very normal thing to happen. And that helped me in my life. Yeah. And as a teenager, it was really a hard stage for me to be especially even I was not even ready to given any projects or something in my schoolings, just because the sexual identity of a person might influence. The parents and teachers believe that a sexual identity of a person might influence other students too, so that if some of my friends or others who spend time with me may get influenced by me, and they started avoiding me all of a sudden. And yeah, that was really traumatic for me. uh, as I just need to, I don't know how much you will understand what I'm saying, but then I just want to tell you that if you are having some pure friends around you, there may be somebody who are your colleagues, someone from your family, someone from your college, or somebody like that. You just have to, you just have to tell them they are valued. Just that, just a single word that can keep many lives still alive, I should say. uh, I think I just need to recommend the words, and if there is any questions, I will answer.
Thank you, Hayan Ramesh. Thank you. Okay, next I would like to welcome Arathi M. She's a journalist as well. She's an independent journalist and research assistant at University of Wisconsin, Madison. Welcome, Arathi.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the entire team of Shades for conducting this program and inviting us. As we know, after the decriminalization of Article 377, the queer movement in India have a new light in its way. I'm a Dalit queer person, so I will be sharing my experiences, like what it is to be a Dalit queer. In my case, I didn't really have the courage to express or come out my sexual identity. It took several years. In my teenage, I considered my queerness as a problem. And I was a studious girl in my school time, and obviously teachers' favorite. I studied in girls' only school. I had some infatuation towards my classmates and schoolmates. Again, I never had the courage to express my feelings because I was afraid of losing the good girl image. I didn't had the luxury to enjoy my school time. I was working really hard to get good marks in exams and get admission in prestigious institutions and achieving my dreams, my goals. Each and every time I have to face caste, color, class discrimination. I was busy with fighting all that. I worked in several Malayalam media after my studies. There also I experienced the same. It wasn't an easy process to become a successful for a Dalit. I confirmed my sexual orientation with the help of Queerythm. Queerythm is my chosen family. They just proved me that I am not wrong. Just showing their lives and living their lives at it is. After my come out, I am damn sure that I am going to face gender discrimination and queerphobia. Sorry. Okay, I think it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. May I continue?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. What I was saying that I am that much sure that I am going to face gender discrimination and queerphobia, but I don't think it will be a big deal for me because in this patriarchal society, I am always have to encounter verbal, physical, even emotional abuses. But I am here to fight for my community, no matter what. Queer people already faces bias, attacks, and murder simply for who they are or whom they love. They are experiencing new obstacles on daily basis, even in this corona time. So as a young generation, it's our responsibility to engage with them because this society and its norms always force us to believe in binaries because this society and its if we have to break that binary, we must start from ourselves. it's not easy, but it's not impossible. We should take our first step towards that change by learning, relearning, unlearning. So it is possible. For that, we should understand the phobia starts from our home, our religion and other beliefs, strengthening that phobia even stronger. Our social conditioning makes it worse. Here, what can we do is accept the gender non-binaries as it is without any judgment, and give them opportunities and never ever hijack their spaces and voices. I think it is important. There is some, what we demand is, just please pass the mic. There is this phrase, voice of the voiceless, often used to address the marginalized people's problems. But no, you should pass the mic. We can be our own voices. Don't be our voices. We can be our voices. Just pass the mic. Uh, for this, you should diversify the teams and panels, not only in Pride Months. Yeah, I should say this, not only in this Pride Month, but every time, whenever you get a chance, please make sure that the panel or the team is diversified, or they make sure inclusiveness. Consciously reject the spaces which cannot ensure that inclusiveness. The LGBTIQ plus humans are suffering in streets not because of their choices. Nobody wants to become a sex worker or a beggar, but this society forcing them to be. As a young generation, we have to move forward for a better tomorrow for everybody. So let's do that together. And once again, thank you for this initiative, Team Shay. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Arathi ma'am. Thank you, Arathi ma'am. Next, I would like to call upon Abhijith S. He is the Joint Secretary of Queerythm and is an RJ and an artist. Abhijith, yes.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, Abhijith. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank NSUI Pondicherry University for having us here to talk about our experience regarding our cure lives, and especially thanks to Joel for having me here and inviting me here. I will not be discussing a lot about what others discussed. I will be talking about some of my experiences, what as a gay man, what I have faced, what I have gone through. I will be sharing those experiences. I just want to say through my experience that no matter where you come from, your dreams are always valid, because I was this studious kind of guy. I got very good results in my 12th board. I always dreamt of as an engineer, because that was my dream profession. I got good grades in my 12th board, and later on I just got good results in a KILA entrance examination, and I joined a local engineering college. And the life there was something problematic for me, and homophobic atmosphere was there, and I was this kind of introverted guy who were, was facing a lot of challenges throughout my life growing up, and an introverted guy, and that too a cure guy, that triggered a lot inside me. And this homophobic atmosphere was triggering me a lot, and I was not at all fitting in that particular queerphobic atmosphere, and I was forced to quit because of the bullying. Somehow I opened up about my professors about my sexuality, and that spread like fire, and the next day bullying starts, and that created a lot of problems in my entire life. And that was something worst thing experiences in my entire life, because as a cure guy I was denied this opportunity to study or focus on my main career that I was dreamt of. I always thought that my dreams are invalid. And that was the time when I found a radio jockey job in a private FM network in Kerala. And this issue triggered them too, and I lost my job there too. And as a matter of fact, I was denied these opportunities everywhere. That made me go into depression, and I was on pills for 1.5 years. Later on, I discovered about this upcoming bubbling up QUEERYTHM LGBTIQ organization, which started in 2017 from a fellow Cure friend of mine. That was the time I realized that, Abhijith, you have to buckle up. You have faced a lot. Don't let any other child go through the same phase that you came in. That was the time I joined Queerythm in 2017, and I worked for the Cure community there. And as an open out person, I also faced a lot of challenges in my life because I am in a partnership with my boyfriend, and he's kind of Muslim and I'm Hindu. That triggered a lot of people in my family, and I also faced a lot of death threats and all, even in his family too. Somehow we managed that. We have a very supporting family there, and by working inside the Queerythm, I always knew that the life of my fellow Cure people is very bad somehow. Most of the people life was very poor. And I always taught myself to look for the beauty in it, to look for the beauty in the faces of my fellow Cure people. And I should draw this aspect as a resource person of Queerythm to see situations in silver lining, and to assess where I could give something as a resource person or a spokesperson. And also if I could teach fellow other people to be grateful high enough so that we could have an amazing world where negativity could not grow and foster, and my fellow Cure people will have an amazing smile on their face. Because when everyone outside my friend zone is talking about equality and all, वो कहते हैं ना, equality is something that is there but no one really care about. But few months back there was this campaign called All Life Matters was happening around all the globe, and people there were so keen to express All Life Matter campaign, All Life Matter hashtag and all, but somehow they forget that there is this community called Cure community. They have to be included in that, but somehow exclusion was happening there. And authentic equality doesn't prioritize someone's sexual orientation, gender identity, race, caste, culture, etc. It doesn't put any gender, sexual orientation at its center. What authentic equality do is centralized love, and when love is fully centralized, every door opens for everyone. And I am taking this opportunity to invite every ally out there. We can all be this burning torchlight, to empower, educate other homophobic person, to empower, educate your fellow Cure friends. We can all hold this burning torchlight high enough so the whole world could see and feel its light. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijith. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Abhijith, sir. Next, I would like to welcome our advocate Avani Bansal. She's a Supreme Court advocate. She's a writer for The Wire, and she's also the founder of The Womb, which is an online newspaper for the women. Avani Bansal, ma'am.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me here and for giving me an opportunity to actually also hear, what a lot of LGBTQI community members experience on a daily basis. I must tell you that when I was at law school in HNLU, Hidayatullah National Law University, Raipur, one of my class projects was actually on the LGBTQ community. At the time, nobody I knew belonged to the LGBTQ community members. So it was a lot of curiosity that basically led me to believe that if I want to understand, what are the challenges of this particular community, then I need to make an effort, as a straight person who is kind of, benefiting from this so-called stereotyping, which marginalizes some people simply for, as my previous speaker said, who they are. And so what I've realized over the years is that it's very important to have a dialogue amongst people who may identify very, very differently from each other. A lot of times I feel that, we kind of stick to what we know, and we become this sort of frogs in the well, where what we know is the only reality for ourselves. And I think a lot of stereotyping can really be broken down if platforms such as these can be created, where people from different sexual orientations come together and simply have a dialogue. Now, with that, let me, sort of in my given time, share a few thoughts that I have coming from the legal space on this issue. All of you who are here, I expect that you already know that a lot of progress has been made in terms of, the queer rights and movement in India. But you will all also agree that there is a long, long battle ahead. Now, the first things first, in India, what we have done with Navtesh Singh judgment, whereby Section 377 of Indian Penal Code was decriminalized, is we are saying that it's okay for adults, consenting adults, to be with whoever they want to be and do whatever it is that they want to do. They have the same rights as all citizens of India. And yet, I can narrate to you a lot of articles, provisions in the Indian Constitution, which have from the very start upheld that there cannot be any discrimination on the grounds of sex, on the grounds of gender. So one question that we may ask altogether is, what took it so long after coming of the Indian Constitution into force for the Navtesh Singh judgment to finally say that Section 377 is unconstitutional? And secondly, if the Constitution of India really does provide that everybody, irrespective of their sex and gender, is equal, then the question is, why is it that in India, it is still going to take us another decade or two? Ask any legal person and they will tell you, for ushering in, the concept of same-sex marriages, just to kind of name one few. Now, if you ask me, and kind of just to start from the conclusion, as they say, I think what we need in India is first a comprehensive Civil Rights Act. One problem that I see of political parties across the spectrum is that they have a very piecemeal approach towards the right of LGBTQI community in India. We all know the horrors of the recent 2019 Transgenders Act that is still working on archaic notions whereby a person to be given a certificate that he or she belongs to a transgender community needs to stand in front of the district magistrate, in most cases the collector or the district, and get a certificate, right? For what? To be able to get the welfare benefits. And one may ask, what in fact are the welfare benefits that the state gives to the LGBTQI community? And all of you in this room know that there are none. So I think instead of having this sort of, let's take up the transgenders and do something for them, and again, do it without, wide consultations with the members of the same community across the stage, really does not serve a purpose. And it always takes us 2 steps back instead of taking us 1 step forward. So I think what's needed, because I feel what we need overall is not just discuss the problems, but discuss solutions. And the first solution really is a comprehensive Civil Rights Act in India, which covers, the holistic aspects of the LGBTQI community in India. The second thing, and that's something I've been working on a little bit at my own level, but I definitely, call all of you who might want to collaborate on this to come forward. I think it was Arathi, who's a journalist who spoke before me, and she made a very relevant point about language we use and how not to see the world in terms of binary. Now, I'm also, a part-time teacher. I believe that it's very important what we litigate in courts to actually bring it to classrooms. And I teach civil procedure code, amongst other subjects. Now, when I teach procedure to my students, being a female, I find it extremely disturbing that the entire civil procedure code is full of male pronouns. So he, him, his. And a lot of my girl students, I see the difficulties on their part when they say, we can't relate with it experientially. Why does all of the law have to be shrouded, not even in binary terms, but purely in masculine terms? And I want to take that debate a step forward and say, why should laws of this country, unless where the gender is, in context, for example, if we're talking about rape, okay, there can be a conversation about, do we want it for males, females, and other people? And how do we want to use the words there? If we were talking about domestic violence, should it be equal for everybody? What will be the ramifications? So wherever in discussing laws, gender is a context, I understand. But neutral laws, right? All our procedural laws, for example, the Civil Procedure Code, which governs how civil matters will be governed in India, or Criminal Procedure Code, which governs how will criminal matters, be adjudicated upon in India, or Indian Evidence Law, which applies both to civil matters and criminal matters. Why do these basic laws have to be shrouded in, gender intensive language? Why can we not follow the French model, whereby they use pronouns, they, them, theirs, so that, everybody, irrespective of what their orientation, gender, sexual, etc. is, can kind of feel that relatability with the law, because law, after all, is for everybody. So I have written an article for those of you interested on, highlighting the discrepancies with the very language that the law uses. Now, some may say, why does language matter? But, I learned something new, right? For example, as a debater, a lot of times I used to address people as ladies and gentlemen, but the speaker before me, I think it was Hassan, who said, that why should it be ladies and gentlemen? And I was here in the audience listening to it, and it struck me that even with all the well-intentioned, sometimes, we're not conscious about the language we are using. So why not begin changing the language of the laws itself? Similarly, all our judgments of the Supreme Court, why should they heavily rely on he, him, his? Why can't they use, plural pronouns? So I am envisaging like a PIL, or a public interest litigation, which if some of you can come forward and support will be great. Our office can take care of the legal aspect of it, whereby we go to the Supreme Court and we appeal that this gender identity or binary nature of the language that laws use in India, both in terms of statute laws, but also in terms of judgment, needs to be done away with. And we need to follow the French model. Now, in terms of the constitutional provisions, I realize that there is a lot in the Constitution. The challenge is, how do you bring it to reality? So, for example, Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, we all know, is the bedrock for right to equality. And the word it uses is a gender neutral one. It says any person. Now, it could be anybody of any gender, any sexual orientation, but he or she, or, LGBTQI members, they all deserve an equal right not to be discriminated against in any way. So far, so good. But then today, we are in 2021 and we are hearing so many stories about discrimination. The other day I was in a space where, a person who got Mr. All India Mr. Gay, his question was, he's somebody who's well known in the queer community, and he walks up with his boyfriend to a restaurant, and the restaurant just say, "Hum aap jaise logo ko admission nahi dete." We don't give admission to people such as you. Now that's such a derogatory way of, of addressing people from the LGBTQI members. Now, a lawyer might say, well, there is right to equality for everybody. But the question is, necessarily go to the court saying that I was denied admission by so-and-so restaurant, by so-and-so. Why shouldn't there be a more easy procedure so that complaints can be taken and real action can be taken in quick time? In theory, you can go if you face discrimination, be that in the job sector, be that in any restaurants, be that in accessing any public spaces, you can go to the nearest police station and lodge a FIR. But I'm sure all of you, have had experiences where your trust and faith in the system is just not as strong enough. So what do we do for it? What can we do for it legally is another question that we need to ponder upon. Now, a lot of us look at America to see what's happening there. We know that there are many countries, I think the latest figure is about 23 or 26, I may be mistaken, where LGBTQ rights are being recognized in India. The challenge is that in India, it's all right to say that we will fight the legal fight, and we need to fight the legal fight. There is no two ways about it. But the wheels of the legal system and the wheels of justice in India, they go at such a slow speed that one wonders that whether it is okay for us to place all our hope in the Supreme Court of India, or do we, that is members of the LGBTQ community, and those of us who are friends of the LGBTQ community, do we believe that we need to hit the ground running? We need to have a grounds up movement. That change has to come not just legally, but also politically, and more importantly, socially. Unless we attack this problem from a multifaceted angle, just thinking that courts alone are going to help solve our problem, I think we'll be just waiting too long for it, for a day which will definitely come, and I have no doubts about it, but it will be waiting for it for too long. So I always ask myself that, I mean, there are several PILs which are already pending in the Delhi High Court and in the Supreme Court about recognition of same-sex marriages, about doing away with the provisions of Special Marriage Act that prohibit same-sex couple from registering. There are PILs filed in the Kerala High Court. I have an entire list of it for anybody who's interested. I'm very happy to facilitate that. So the legal provisions are fine, right? But the question is, I ask myself is, what can we, each one of us at our own level, do to promote this cross dialogue? And one thing that we did this International Women's Day is that we launched what's called the WOMB, THEWOMB.in. I encourage you to check it. And it's not, as the person who introduced me said, a women's platform. It's a platform for all gender issues. It's our own limitation and our own weakness that the focus has been women, because I do think that women are facing systemic challenges in spite of being such a large population. But that debate is forever going to be incomplete if we do not include the voices of the LGBTQI community. So it's not that there aren't media spaces which are talking about women issues in LGBTQ community, but they are so few and far in between that if there is an issue which kind of catches national attention, then everybody's talking about it. But where are everyday stories about people who are facing these issues on a daily basis? Voices that we are hearing today here, I think, are voices that need to be broadcasted across the nation for more and more people to hear it. And the Womb is sort of this digital newspaper where we think not just the news of celebrities, but stories of everyday people and their interaction with gender in all its facets, without kind of this editorial saying, this is too much for us, this is a taboo, we can't discuss this or that, without that sort of interference, an open space where young people can write, discuss, talk, make videos, so on and so forth. So if any of you are interested in writing about the LGBTQI community, their issues, please consider the Womb, as a starting point. And finally, I do think that we need to come up with, we need to legally use more of our creativity if we are able to, or if we want to make some substantial progress on the rights of the LGBTQ community. And my own suggestion for that is that we need to fight something not just for same-sex marriages, okay? Or we don't just need to fight for, let's do away with, the problematic sections of the Special Marriage Act. What we need is a recognition of what I call right to love under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Unless we can fight for this, we all have a right to love, and with right to love comes recognition of its myriad aspects. It includes right to be in a live-in relationship, it includes right to marry, it includes right to divorce, it includes right to have children, so on and so forth. So unless we go for right to love, our approach so far has been go for one thing at a time. It's just going to take us forever. Now, how do we bring right to love, and how do we fight for it, and how do we bring it in the larger public consciousness is a battle that we all need to fight together. And once again, I'm very thankful for being here, and I just want you to know that you're not alone, and that people who may not have the same challenges as you are still very many who want to stand for you, who want to stand with you in your fight while you take the mic, as Arathi said, and you talk about it. We are here in backstage support in every way possible. Once again, thanks very much, and I'm here for any questions that any of you may have.
Thank you, Avani. Yes. Next, I would like to call upon Ms. Vidya Dinagaran. She's a psychotherapist, and she is also a consultant for the Madras High Court. So,
thank you, first of all, for having me here. I just want to say that what I'm about to say is nothing new from what I already heard the speakers talk about, both Avani and Arathi. They've covered pretty much what it is, what are the struggles that a queer person faces in the society, and what needs to be done about it. And I'm only going to offer a more psychological perspective on the whole thing. So I just want to start off by pointing out to what are the unique stressors that people belonging to a queer community faces. So the first thing that comes to my mind is the constant battling of fear, right? So the kind of fear that these people experience are very, very different from what a normalized person would experience. Like there is very often we don't think about our sexuality, we don't think about our gender, and queer people constantly have to think about all of these things at every juncture. Should I come out to the group? Should I not? Is it safe to do it? Is it not? So there's a constant judgment that they need to keep involved themselves in. And that definitely does instill a lot of fear, because sometimes revealing one's identity is not always safe. There's a lot of life-threatening situations that they are put into. Even while working with the recent Madras High Court case, that was one thing that came to the forefront, that no system that is present in the society is built in such a way that it offers as much safety as is needed for a queer person. So that is one. And the other is that these are identities that are fundamental to us, our sexuality, our gender, who we are as people. These are fundamental identities that a straight person does not think about in our day-to-day life. But to constantly involve in the same process, to constantly involve whether to out oneself or to constantly invisibilize oneself, causes a lot of stress for these individuals, which results not only in psychological issues, but also physical issues and psychosomatic issues. The other issue that I want to talk about is the invisibility in itself. Like very often, homosexual couples are not seen for who they are, because very often they are mistook, or more than mistook, it's just unwillingness to see the love existing between same-sex couples. So they constantly have to reiterate the fact that we're not friends, but we're actually couples. Like we are romantically involved with each other. Like to constantly reiterate this fact also causes a lot of stress. And like how someone already spoke, this coming out is not a one-time process for a queer person. Like they keep coming out all their lives to different people, and that is a really stressful thing to experience. The other thing that I want to talk about is the lack of space or support. So the moment a person decides to come out, the family is the first system that crosses their mind. And very often, families are not the safe systems that they are supposed to be. So they are forced to sort of reach out to other societal systems, which, like I already mentioned, are not built to provide as much safety required by the queer community. So if they have to access police station, if they have to access legal support, if they have to access medical facilities, at everywhere, at every direction, there's constant discrimination and lack of sensitivity that is present in understanding what a queer person endures. And the last one is erasure of queer narratives, meaning when a queer person goes through a particular struggle, there is no existing narrative as to what do I do in this particular situation, what do I follow, whom do I follow, whom do I talk to. Because very often, even in school, I don't remember being exposed to anything other than a man and a woman's picture in my school textbook, starting from my KG standards, right? So there's nothing beyond he and him and she and her. So there's absolutely no exposure. And even the most strongest queer narratives have been taken away from the literature. So all these erasure sort of takes away from the support system that a queer individual can draw from. And I also want to point out where these issues are even coming up from. What are the common beliefs that sort of strengthen the whole process? One is about deciding what is abnormal and what is deviant. Because there is this common notion that people belonging to the marginalized community belong there because there's something deviant or something wrong about them, which is definitely not the case. They are not out in the open, and they are not the majority, because it is not safe for them to come out and reveal themselves in the society, which is why they are also functioning as the minority. So this idea that they are who they are because they've done something wrong is the first notion that has to be worked through for every individual. And the second is our understanding from a very young age is very, very binary. Like we're not exposed to anything other than a male and female sex, and accordingly a male and female gender, and accordingly a heterosexual identity, and there is absolutely no other exposure that is present. We are given that this is the narrative, this is where you need to fall within. So this is another thing that needs to change, starting from the educational system, starting from what we read in books, what literature is available, what resources are available to us online. So, and the recent Madras High Court case has done a wonderful job, in fact, in bringing about these changes in the educational systems itself. And the other role is played by science and religion. Both of these aspects are something that the majority of the people believe in. Anything that science says, people completely blindly believe it. Anything religion says, it has a lot of strength. So these two aspects need to be carefully considered. Like, because why am I talking about this? Because coming from the mental health professional, even we've had manuals, diagnostic manuals, which have spoken very, very insensitively about the queer community, deeming such relationships, deeming homosexuality to even be a disorder. And there are mental health professionals who have, and some of them who very unfortunately still do practice cure therapy and conversion therapy and whatnot. So not everything that comes from science and religion need to be believed and adhered to completely and blindly. And another thing that all of us need to be very, very mindful of is have more conversations around sex and sexuality, because these are considered taboo topics. And unless and until we talk about these topics in the open, a lot of misconceptions are not going to come out in the front, and it cannot be worked with. So there needs to be a lot of spaces, peer groups, discussion groups, even parents or families can form groups and need to have these conversations. And another notion that majority of the people will have to work through is how sex or any coming together is only for the reason of procreation, and any other coming together is not legitimate. So this is a very, very common notion that most people have. So where do these narratives even come from, that people get together only to procreate and for no other reason? So the base of these narratives need to be identified, and that need to be worked through. Because I find that a lot of people, parents, or people who are older than our parent generation, they have very, very rigid notions which are not going to change in one day, because these notions are very, very ingrained. So one thing is to start very, very young in exposing people to choose whatever they want to choose, and be whoever they want to be. The other aspect is, what do we do with the people who already have the beliefs? And that's a very long-term process of working, in order to relearn, unlearn. I think Arathi was talking about this already. That's one of the things that all of us need to do. Constantly check our beliefs and see if it is helping us and others in any way. And if it poses that it's a harmful notion, then it's for us to work with it constantly and be open to changing such beliefs. And just to add to what else can be done here in this space is a lot of sensitization programs in various systems, like with police personnel, with the legal system, with mental health professionals, with educational institutions, with workplaces. All of these systems will have to undergo sensitization programs, and these programs mainly need to be conducted by the queer individuals themselves, because only they can bring the lived experience and offer thoughts on what needs to change in the society to make it more inclusive. And it shouldn't be majorly done by cis-het individuals, by meaning cisgendered heterosexual individuals. It needs to be taken up by the queer individuals, because they've already done enough work for years together. Like, they already have the resources. What we need to do with the power and privilege as straight people is only, like how Arathi again said, just pass the milk, just show the light on them and they will take it forward. So that is another thing. And also increase the number of safe spaces available. Like I already mentioned, creation of peer groups, creation of discussion groups, like even online groups will do for young adults, for adults who already have ingrained beliefs. and having someone from a particular profession facilitate that group. All these are small, small steps which can be taken. And like I said, being mindful of how we address people in a group, being mindful of someone's pronouns, being mindful of not using someone's dead name, being very mindful of, their mistakes tend to happen. If you misgender someone, it's okay to apologize, move on, learn from it, and go ahead, and not to make it very, very awkward for the other person and for yourself. And it's really not that big a deal. When we are calling someone on the stage, we tend to call them out with their credentials, with all the awards that they have won. We say all that before saying their name. And how difficult it is to remember a person's pronoun. It actually does not take much effort. All it needs is willingness and being mindful of how we are operating every day, and to be open to relearning and unlearning our own belief systems, which all of us will have to engage with every day. So these are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with the group. And thank you again for having me here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Now we would be going into the Q&A session. So the participants can ask questions. I have switched on the chat box. So they can either chat through the chat box or unmute yourselves and ask the questions to any of the panelists.
Hello, excuse me.
Yes, please.
So my doubt is like Prijith sir stated earlier that we should be open to all kinds of identity and that we should embrace diversity. So this is a question the community gets often properly, I think. So I'll get to the question. It is that will LGBTQ community be ever, will they be ever open to accepting things that we consider taboo at the moment, like incest, necrophilia, bestiality, masochism, and maybe even pedophilia?
Sir? Yes.
When we encounter, such questions, always from people, I was just wondered, why LGBTIQ people only have the responsibility to, engage such things. The so-called majority world also responsible to, engage such things. And when I mean diversity, it is about basic human rights. I'm not talking about, some kinds of, I'm not, it not about taboos. Taboos can be, societal norms at the same time. But how can we accept, pedophilia or necrophilia or something like that? As our advocate, Avani pointed out, it's about consent. It's about, sharing love and all. So we have to stick on those things, if I say. And I think Vidya can also add some psychological elements to the so-called normalized questions that we encounter day by day, regarding pedophilia and all. I don't know why it is, troubling again LGBT people, we are responsible to answer such unwanted things. As per the many records of National Crime Records Bureau, the crimes were, done by cisgender people, not in a single or, sort of records done by trans people in these cases, particular cases. So again, we are answerable. We are, pointing to be, counted in such things. So I feel it's very, foolish to encounter such things, if I say.
Sir, if I may add, sir.
Yeah, you
So these things can be on the basis of consent and love, right? For example, if a son loves his mother and the mother gives
Sorry,
consent.
sorry. There is no consent at the adulthood ages that can be considered.
So what if the son is an adult, sir, and he's in love with his mother, and there's consent there? How is that wrong, sir?
I didn't get it. Can you repeat the question?
So you said that in these things there is no consent or love or anything. But for example, these things happen in the world if a son, hypothetically a son, is in love with his mother and he's an adult and there's consent between them and there's also love. Then why is it that acceptable? That's my question, sir.
Again, there were in many cultures, there were many civilizations, those kinds of, maybe you're talking about the sexual relations, incest relations. And as of now, I'm not bothered about such relations or something, to mingle with or relate with LGBTIQ identities. We are talking about basic human rights and not about the, so-called such things. And we have no time to engage such things. I think Vidya can add, the psychological aspect regarding these kind of, questions. Maybe you encountered before.
Yes, ma'am. Vidya, ma'am, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I'd like to just add to that. Personally, there are very, very rare cases that have come to the forefront, which addresses incest and things that we discuss now. And I want to say that, yes, there have been enough narratives that I have personally come across where incest has been a part of the societal way of functioning. But the implications of such a relationship for both the individuals involved and for those around them have not been explored enough. What are the implications? What does this mean to both of them and for the individuals around them? These are areas that are not explored enough, even in a psychological setting. So there is no clear-cut answer as to what can be done about this or what the community can do about this. I don't think it's pertaining to only the queer community. It's pertaining to the entire human race. This question is not specific to the community. And just want to add that these are not explored enough for us to give clear-cut answers, because there are implications. Because I did come across one such case, and here the question was about two consenting adults, the son and the mother. But even the case that I dealt with, on the surface level, it did seem like consent. But when we were working through the sessions, I sort of was able to identify that even consent came from a place of obligation, from a place of wanting to protect the other person. So there are a lot of nuances that needs to be understood in all these relationships. So I don't think we can jump to a clear answer there.
But you're open to the possibility, right? Like if they're explored enough and if there's any kind of backing, they would be like supported or at least accepted. As I said, incest, necrophilia, bestiality.
Like I said, it depends on the individuals. Like I don't have enough details about the case that you are bringing to me here for me to say where it is okay and where it is not. Right? That is a conclusion that we cannot jump in a minute of discussing about it. Like I said, there are a lot of nuances that needs to be understood before. And it's really not, I think even the people who come to me, it's not my place to tell them whether it's okay or not, right? It's only to see what is the best possible outcome for all the people involved in that situation. So even the case that you are talking about right now, with the available details, I will not be able to tell what it means for both the individuals involved.
And also talking about the consent of children, the POSCO, the act is maybe one of the general neutral acts that we have. Why it is the consent of children not considered? Because of the psychological, as Vidya said, psychological implications which these acts can affect the maybe the life of children. I think Avani, can you add something regarding the why it is stick on the consent and children can give consent? I think they can understand more.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I think it's a very interesting question and also not an easy one to answer. But I'll just sort of share my 2 cents on the legal perspective of it. So now there are a lot of international declarations which define. I mean, first of all, we don't have one comprehensive legal definition of consent the world over. So the European countries have one aspect to consent. I mean, let's not forget, in India we are at a situation where we don't even consider marital rape to be rape. So our legal understanding as we stand today of consent is that once you're married, you can be raped. That's how, I just want to give you a reality check of where we are in terms of evolution of our legal system. Now, that doesn't mean that we should stop our minds from imagining, the kind of situations that you've brought forward. But legally speaking, there would be a difference in each one of them. So for example, is it okay to have sex with animals when animals cannot consent? The current legal situation world over with the international declarations is no, because animals are not considered to be capable of giving consent. Now, the second question is, can children give consents? And there is a secondary legal question, which is, what is the age of adulthood? So for example, a lot of people say, why should we take 18 as this kind of sacrosanct age? Why couldn't it be lower? Why couldn't it be more? And one would understand that from a policy making perspective, it will be very difficult to just have an open age, because the sensibilities of different individuals will be varied. So I'm not asking you to agree to it. I'm asking you to appreciate the challenges which come with even some of the times well-intentioned policymakers to say we need to take an age, and that age is always taken given on the what's a general norm. The third thing is, and this is a point I want to emphasize to all of you, is that as much as law shapes the society, more often than not, law reflects the society. Law is a mirror to the society. For example, until recently, we know that adultery, I mean, we're talking about a mother and child sexual relationship. But if you're in a married relationship, even the idea that there is another woman in a man's life meant that that man could be punished, right? And in that, then, as Vidya said, there were nuances that you're not punishing women for adultery, but you're punishing men for adultery, right? It's only now that we said that since there are two consenting individuals, we're not going to criminalize it, and you can take divorce on the ground of it and get married again. So do I personally see that there is a possibility that someday we say we will not bring, as far as the example of mother-son relationship is concerned, we won't define it as incest in the law. And because there are two consenting individuals, the mother could take divorce from her husband and she could get married to the son. Do I see that possibility? I see that possibility. But do I see the possibility of pedophilia, or do I see the possibility of zoophile, or having sex with animals? I don't see that, because I don't think that at the moment we have any legal platform on which we can build that understanding of consent. Personally, the second bit of it, the second part of it, with animals or with children who are very young, who are not capable of giving consent, I personally don't think that should even be legally recognized. But yes, anywhere where there are two consenting individuals, I think there will come a time when the law will recognize it, when there are big numbers. But I want to go back to what Prijith said, and I've seen this in several conversations. This is not to kind of say the question is wrong or the question is bad. I disagree. I think the question is very, very genuine. But what I want to say is that LGBTQ community is fighting its own battle, and it's a battle which is very important. So we all need to be also very, very responsible and very, very conscious that unknowingly we don't tag in issues with this issue in a way that it hurts the cause, then supports the cause. So I think that is extremely important. And I'll just give you one example from the feminist movement, right? When the Domestic Violence Act came, Prijith, a lot of people said clearly there is much more higher statistics that women have committed violence against men. In fact, I was fighting a case in the district High Court in Madhya Pradesh, where there were two people who were daily workers, right? So they would just go make buildings, construction workers, and come back. They don't have any savings or anything. The husband was so much in love with his wife that he didn't open a bank account in his name at all. He started a bank account in the name of his wife. And the wife, had a previous, had a daughter from the previous marriage, got her daughter married off, and now didn't want to live with this husband, and she used to beat this husband up. But the Domestic Violence Act wouldn't apply, because as we all know, Domestic Violence Act only protects, the women, not the men, and why not? And a lot of women came forward and said, because we still have to look statistically, what is the percentage of women? So that statistics need to be kept at the center of a discussion, that if the examples that we're talking about, mother and son relationship are too few in number, is that worthy enough to kind of, take our cause of LGBTQ community, such that very many people may not, associate with the movement because of these kind of, one or two examples, which may be existing in the society. Nobody's taking that away, but we have to think very, very practically about moving this movement forward. Thanks, Prijith.
Definitely.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, the question has come from Razia. So her question is, 83% of the STD cases are from gay and bisexual relationships. Isn't that harmful to the society, and how will the LGBTQ plus deal with it? So any of the panelists would like to answer it?
What is the source of that data?
Yeah, the source is not mentioned. Razia, you should mention the source of the data.
Okay, please tell her to, visit NACO website or, data released by NACO. The number of cases may be, high, plus number of tests, per person, per year is also, large in LGBTIQ people, because we are responsible to society, we believe, because we are doing responsible relations. So we often do test, STD or whatever test. But, the number of, or the, maybe if I particularly say the cases, HIV cases or other ST cases were largely seen in other communities, or the transfusion also, differ. So I don't think we are, this may be one of the earlier, accusations that the LGBTIQ people face worldwide. We are responsible to, spread HIV. We are responsible to spread so and so. But they were, rejected whole wide. So I think she have to, check the data properly. This is not by the queer people, and it has no connection with accepting, our identity or our legal rights with, health issues. Also, are the, the people, around us are not responsible for the crucifixions or the, the mental stigma, mental issues that we are suffering. Are they not responsible? Only we are responsible to such things, and they are not taking any advantage. I think, you have to just read the verdict, the interim verdict by Anand Venkatesh. He clearly points out, such things, how the stigma and the prejudiced mentality of society is affecting, the mental trauma that we are suffering. So please have proper, understanding and sensitization about our issues and, the problems that we face. And these questions and these doubts are, I just welcoming these doubts. Maybe, you can clear such things, but they are irrelevant at a point because of, the ignorance. So educate yourself. That is the only way, I think. If somebody from,
I'm sorry, would it be all right to just add to that, Prijith?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah. So in this case, even I'm not sure about the statistics that's mentioned in the box, but the perspective that I'd like to offer is that homosexual people who reach out to medical professionals or mental health professionals are not given quality services, their questions are not taken seriously, they're not given the right information, which can lead to the sexually transmitted diseases being present in the community. And then, like how Prijith pointed out, it is not solely the responsibility of the LGBTQI community for, having people who have this disease. It's not on them. It's on the society who have made all these services less accessible for the queer community. And where, since there is no accessibility to services, no accessibility to the right resource or the right information, there are chances for developing a lot of physical and psychological illness, and that is a possibility. So that needs to be considered. And what can the LGBTQ community do about this? I'm not very sure. I don't think it's only their responsibility, but as a society, to make every space accessible to all individuals and bringing in the idea of equity here. So very often we talk about equality, but the concept of equity is somewhere missed in the flow. So keeping all these in mind, making the services accessible, providing or making the right kind of resources being available for everybody can actually bring down the statistics, if that statistics is the right spot.
Also, the targeted intervention programs by NACO and the HIV prevention, authorities in our state, also giving proper guidance and awareness on STI and STDs to MSM, the so-called gay men and bisexual men and trans women, and we are doing responsible sexual activities and secure safe sex practices. I still doubt, how, are we teaching our children regarding safe sex practices? No, we are not. So I think we have to ensure these things in our school curriculum too, so that, everybody can understand how to do safe sex and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. There are many links.
If I could add to that question Razi asked, sir, I think it's mainly because she specified gay and bisexuals, because in their case, sex is mainly through anal, but it's anal sexual intercourse, and obviously that has its defects. That's a higher chance for contracting STD diseases if you're having sex anally. And the link that ma'am said, it starts with the sentence, while rates of HIV are disproportionately higher among members of the LGBTQ community. So that doesn't actually answer Razia's question. So it is scientifically proven that STD cases are high, and the main reason is anal sex, if I'm not wrong. It's not just the quality of service, or she said, more STD people, gay people, they go to the doctor more than heterosexual people. I don't think that's the case. The main issue is anal sex, if I'm not wrong.
I just want to quickly come in there. So first of all, what I was trying to point out is that there is, as far as I'm aware, and I'm happy to stand corrected, on this question, and I've seen this question come up many times, there is no one comprehensive report that people rely on. So people usually do what we are doing, that one set of people will pull up one set of links and another people will set up another set of links. I've shared after that article 2 more links, which which tell you that there is absolutely no connection. So from saying that it's a gay, that the entire HIV is a gay disease, to saying that it is disproportionately higher amongst the LGBTQ community, to saying that there is no relation, you will actually find links on all 3 of them. Okay, there is at the moment, it's not even like climate change, so I mean there are still climate change deniers, right, in spite of reports after reports, but on subjects which are as important as a person saying, listen, this has been my experience and this is true for me, right? I'm saying that there is no one comprehensive report. Each report that you will fill up will have very different numbers. So first of all, we're having this conversation on very shaky grounds with no really reliable statistics. We all use statistics as per our convenience. That's my point number 1. My point number 2 is that, as far as HIV is concerned, if you look at the top scientific bodies in every country, everybody has said that it's not a disease limited to the LGBTQ community. Now, what type of sex leads to what type of diseases, that research is ongoing, and it's something we are all looking forward to. But please understand, it's not a disease which is limited in any way to the LGBTQ community. At least that is certain. So with that as certainty, a platform, we need to say that, again, nobody can answer because there are no strong statistics. But please remember that different statistics used by different people, not a disease which is limited to the LGBTQ community. Therefore, so what is that point towards? Even if there are some LGBTQ community members who have HIV, we need to spread awareness. We need to talk about it. We need to do what can be done. But that argument cannot be used in any way to push back on the reforms needed or on the demand for equal justice for the LGBTQ community. And this has been true world over. So this argument is not new here. It's been used in every country which has legally recognized the rights of the LGBTQ people.
And just adding something, and don't think, all the gay people and bisexual men are doing sex through, anus, or anal sex is practiced by, all the people. No, that is wrong. Maybe, there are, cisgender people, cisgender and heterosexual people are also practicing, anal sex, which doesn't mean that they are spreading. So such rumors should not be allowed, if I say that. Those are, queerphobic comments for me.
Sir, I said mainly, sir. I didn't say every heterosexual person is like not having anal sex. And
no, HIV
Actually,
or STD is spreading through unsafe sexual practices, not through any specific practice. Unsafe, that is the correct word.
Abhijith, sir, you have something.
Actually, how can you say that? Am I audible?
Yes, please, sir.
Actually, I just want to say that how can he say that everyone, mainly, he quoted mainly, how can he say that mainly everyone, mainly people are doing anal sex and all? Where did he get that information? I mean, come on.
Sir, I said mainly because like most people produce babies, right? They can't produce babies by having an anal sex, right?
No comments at all, sorry.
Anyway, sir, like, can I go back to the thing ma'am said? Ma'am, you said like the question isn't whether it's limited to only LGBTQ. She asked that it's higher in like gay people, and all the three links you sent also state that it's higher in gay or bisexual people. And this is not to like oppose the reforms that LGBTQ are like trying to have. I'm asking, is there a solution to this to like reduce this?
You're quoting falsely. All the three links I've sent do not say that it is disproportionately higher. The first link that I said says that it is higher in the LGBTQ community, but not limited to them. The other two don't say that. So my point once again remains that there is no confirmed statistics on that. If you can tell me that, okay, this is one place and this is it, and nobody else is contradicting it, and this is from a source which has been recognized by the experts, then sure. But I'm saying that there are several links on the internet, which say one thing or the other, depending on what their overall view on the LGBTQ community is. So I'm not defending it because I don't think that that charge is validly made for us to be able to, successfully defend it or play a defensive role.
Thank you. So next question would be, does the transgender replace organs for the satisfaction of the society? It's from
Hayan is there, I think. He can.
Hayan. Hayan, sir. I think he's not there. Okay, moving on to the next question.
It is not, only because of the, satisfying the society. It is to, kind of, rightly expressing their gender. That is the right thing, they may do HRT, they may do SRS, they may, dress up what they want. It is only to satisfy, it is only to, do as their wish. So what we get to, after satisfying the society, after, maybe to satisfy the society, we have to pretend like the cisgendered, the so-called, binary oriented normalities. So we are, telling we are not, fixed in that binary. So we are not trying to, satisfy the society. So
thank you. Now next question would be, before urbanization, does this type of discrimination happen? Anyone, the panelists, about before urbanization, does this type of discrimination happen? See, I think basically he's asking about the history of discrimination towards the LGBTQ plus community.
Maybe I don't know. I just smiled about why the day is important. The Stonewall Day, the Memory Day, the Pride Day. Day by day, we are running a 24/7 helpline, which is India's one and only helpline, which works 24/7 in 3 languages. We are getting a large number of calls regarding family issues, psychological issues, social isolation, the phobic attacks day by day, which means, the phobia which society is, spreading day by day is increasing on, the prejudiced approaches of the family members and the societies, also increasing. So, if I say that, organizations are doing their part to ensure the rights, to ensure, the visibility, to ensure the acceptance, to ensure the empowerment of the LGBTIQ people. Before organizations, before the movement, the issues faced by the community also is still, there, no doubt. What makes the movements do better? Because of the human rights movement, because of the, the progressive thoughts, because of feministic, movements, because of the queer, oppression that we suffered. So if I, answer in another way, organizations gave a collective, sound, or kind of collective effort for, enlarging the voices of LGBTIQ people. And only because of such organizations, the visibility, the acceptance and the right-based activities are also happening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, any more questions?
Yeah, I want to ask a question.
Yes, Priyanka, yes,
so
Priyanka.
before asking my question, I would want to thank all the coordinators and speakers for sharing their knowledge with us. It's been really great being in this session, and I have two questions. My first question is like, how does gender inclusive language is very like how is it important for all the communities and all the genders to give the recognition to LGBTQ communities? And when I say language, I like as Avani ma'am already told how language in law like is been very like his, her, and his, her, and his. But what I want to know is how it's very important for us to have this language inclusivity when we are like common language. And second one is importantly the artistic forms, like the artistic language, like say poems, songs, the conversations which we hear in our movies, like this artistic forms of language. How is it very important for us to make a gender inclusive language? And my second question is like, it's not really a question, it's more of an opinion kind of thing. I was watching a video wherein this two gay identifying people were asked a question of what future are they envisaging, and they both say that a future wherein like they wake up in the morning and they are not educating people, and everyone is accepting everyone, and they are just not educating people and telling people like we are this and please accept us, or they're just fighting. So I wanted to know how it feels for you and how tiresome it is for you, everyone who is here, to keep on fighting on daily basis and telling people, educating them mostly, and how does it affect your mental health? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, any of the panelists would like to answer you? Sir, would you like to go?
If I say, I will sum up the first part regarding language. Language is very important for people we are concerned, because how to communicate, how to address again made a kind of stigma among LGBTIQ people. We were wrongly addressed, we were wrongly represented, we were wrongly symbolized by many contexts, from maybe from history to present time. When we talk about literature, are they aware of the identities? Are they sensitized about the identities? Maybe about the films, the artistic forms, other many things. So we have to develop a queer sensitized lingua franca, if I say. I must congratulate and encourage the Tamil language for considering and developing many such terms for more inclusive terms regarding LGBTIQ people. But languages like Malayalam and many other developing languages are still struggling to find many words to represent LGBTIQ identities. So at the same time, the researchers also struggling to give some dignified terms to represent queer identities. So adding that, we have to ask particular person how that person to be addressed. The name, maybe name. Ask Vidya, already mentioned. Forget the dead names. The pronouns. Maybe some people, the gender fluid people, never like or they don't like or encourage calling such pronouns. They always welcoming by their own names. So we have to be more sensitized and do some more research on the lingua franca that we are living. And the films, of course, we are always centered on the so-called cisgender heteronormality oriented or normalized films. We never place some Rajini and Kamal are loving each other. Can we see any movie? Maybe there are underlined tones, but we never mainly focus on that time. Themed movies. So I'm just saying, we have to do and give chances, as Arathi mentioned, pass the mic to do, or say or exhibit the talents of queer people and give more chances to them. And I'm not taking much time. Abhi, if you can add something, please.
Vidya, do you want to go first?
Yeah, thank you. Just one thing that I wanted to add here. For the second part of where Priyanka shared her opinion, well, I was part of this residential queer affirmative counseling program that happened a couple of years ago in Mumbai, and all the facilitators were queer people themselves, and batch after batch after batch, they have to talk about their experiences, their struggles, what and all they have done so far, and every day to how many people they have to talk about their gender, sexuality. It's definitely a draining process for the members of the community, and the normalized population will have to take up the responsibility to do the research, to do the homework, and to equip themselves of who are the people that we are living with, because all of these informations are available to us, and we can no longer back on ignorance, or we can no longer back on, oh, I wasn't exposed to this, and not take up the initiative to educate ourselves for all these things. So one thing, yes, queer labor, we cannot be grateful enough for that. But at the same time, it's high time that all of us start educating ourselves in these sense. Thank you, Avani. You can.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's the end of the.
I think too quickly to respond to this question, because I just want to respond to it in the context of the fight that the LGBTQ community is part of. I want to sort of broaden this question. So Priyanka, first of all, thank you for asking this question. See, nobody in my family is in politics, okay? And I was a top student through and through. And for a very long time, I kept thinking that, maybe I could contribute my best in the struggles that I care for the causes I care for, by being a lawyer, right? But being a lawyer in the Supreme Court for the last decade or so, I realized that law is a part of the puzzle, but law is not everything. And the biggest platform, I earnestly believe in bringing about changes, and I'm not saying that this is the right view, everybody can have a view, is politics. Because, a simple utilitarian view tells you that, politics is about the numbers. One right legislation, and you can impact the destinies of very many people living in a country. But politics, as we have all heard, since we were kids, that it's not for everybody. It's for people who can hustle and bustle and who can be in that space and fight it out. People who have a lot of spare money, people who have, the muscle power, so on. And so the entire imagery, now I invite you to just think with me for a moment that while we're talking about this binary nature of the language of the law, but think about politics, the whole politics, not just in India, but around the world,
is so male dominated. It is so patriarchal. Now, I'm saying this as a woman, but I'm sure the same is true for LGBTQ community. So what we need to fight for, I believe, is inclusive politics, is alternative politics, is politics that we believe in. And I congratulate the entire team which has organized this, because it's great to see NSUI take a lead in organizing these debates and opening up these forums. But this debate and this fight is much more. We need to fight at every possible forum, and that, as you rightly said, is a draining exercise. But what drains you is also what exalts you. Because when you come out in politics and you fight it out and you realize that there are so few people who are talking about women rights. I mean, every political party says that there should be women reservation, but nobody implements it when they are in power. Everybody, not everybody says we are for LGBTQ community, but even those who say that they are for the rights of LGBTQ community need to do much more. They need to reflect it in actions. Mere words will not do. And that won't happen by us sitting by ourselves in our comfort zones. We need to come out and we need to fight out. But here is the best thing. When you take one step forward and you see that there are 10 people who are willing to join with you, who are willing to struggle with you, then, there's a beauty, there's a joy in that struggle, which is unparalleled. The same can be said for farmers movement, right? You go to the farmers movement and you may not have a farmers challenge, right? I may not have a LGBTQ challenge, but that is the beauty of solidarity. When you stand with somebody who's fighting, you realize that you are a marginalized community in one way. Muslims are marginalized community in India today in another way. They're fighting another fight. Farmers are fighting another fight. The LGBTQ community is fighting another fight. So we can't remain in our wells and say, this is my fight and that's all I identify with. Once you identify with that fighting spirit, that drains you, but it gives you 10 times more the confidence to continue, believing in and fighting for what it is that you care for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, I know we're running out of time, but I just wanted to know one last thing. It's that, like, as Hayan said, he attended like so many therapies, but like most of the therapies harmed him. So I just wanted to know, how does one differentiate between a good and a bad therapy? Like most of the times, community people go and visit the therapist, and it turns out to be like the therapist is trying to change them, not telling them how to accept them, but it's like more of a changing process. So how does one know, okay, this is the therapy that's helping me and this is, I should be there in this, I should stick to this therapy? Please, can you share your thoughts on this?
I think Vidya ma'am was the best one to answer for that, but she left due to a time constraint. Sorry. I think that's the end of Q&A session. Now, next we have Sri Karthik Baba. He's a musician from Karnataka. He's going to perform for us. Yes.
Hello. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I have been listening to the question and answer session. It has been very interesting. I also have to admit, being a queer, out and proud queer person, it's sometimes triggering also for us to listen to the questions again and again. And I was sitting through some of the questions with a lot of difficulty. So that is the reality that I wanted to share. Some questions are very triggering. When as a community we just go and ask to be loved and to have the permission to live with a person I love, there are so many questions that are thrown at us, which can leave us very disturbed. And to understand the point of sexually transmitted diseases, mainly to come out of the LGBTQ community, it is also interesting to understand, like everybody said, numbers are very important. It is also very interesting to understand, right from if you study the history of HIV, how research and money was never given to diseases that affected the minority community, and why there has been no considerable research and advancement in those areas. If the same disease had affected the cisgendered men, I think we would have had the vaccines and all by 1 year. So that is the reality of science also, that we have to understand that it is controlled by patriarchal toxic men. Sadly, power is in their hands. So that is also one very important point. And about representation, of course we are very badly represented in every form. And as a kid who is growing up,
who wants to understand love with another man. I don't have any representation. All I get to see is porn movies, and we think that porn is a representation of our lives. And if you Google gay, you will find porn. But gay community or LGBTQ community is not just about sex. We are much, much, much bigger than sex. We are much bigger than anal sex or whatever that you want to reduce us to. So this reductionist theory is also very problematic, and that is because of bad representation. And very simple parallels if you can draw. The COVID is very new. In America, blacks were blamed for spreading COVID. Asians were blamed for spreading COVID initially. In India, also a certain community was blamed for spread of COVID. Very easily it is done. Similarly, if you draw parallels, you'll understand on your own. You don't need much research for that. Having said that, I've come here to just sing. So I'll just sing. I'm going to just like I believe gender, I'm going to just make this music very fluid. I'm just going to sing one poem. It's going to begin with verses from Perumal Murugan, addressing to Madhurupangan, the half man, half woman Ardhanarishwara goddess. And then I'm going to lead it into a Urdu ghazal. So yeah, I'm going to just sing it. And I think both the writings are gender neutral, and that's why I love them. அழுதேன் கண்கள் சிவக்க கதறி அழுதேன் உள்ளம் குமுறி வேடிக்க அழுதேன் பொங்கும் வேதனை கொட்ட அழுதேன் பொய்த்த காலம் மீட்க அழுதேன் பொறிகள் அவிழ்ந்த போக அழுதேன் உரிமை வேண்டி அழுதேன் உன்னை போற்றி போற்றி அழுதேன் அறிவாய் மாதொரு பாகனே அறிவாய் மாதொரு பாகனே आज जाने की जिद ना करो आज जाने की जिद ना करो यूं ही पहलू में बैठे रहो यूं ही पहलू में बैठे रहो आज जाने की जिद ना करो हाय मर जाएंगे हम तो लुट जाएंगे ऐसी बात किया ना करो ऐसी बात किया ना करो ना करो ना करो आज जाने की जिद ना करो तुम ही सोचो जरा क्यों न रोके तुम्हें जान जाती है जब उठ के जाते हो तुम जान जाती है जब उठ के जाते हो तुमको अपनी कसम जाने जा बात इतनी मेरी मान लो आज जाने की जिद ना करो वक्त की कैद में जिंदगी है मगर वक्त की कैद में जिंदगी है मगर चंद घड़ियाँ यही है जो आज़ाद है चंद घड़ियाँ यही है जो आज़ाद है इनको खो कर मेरी जाने जा उम्र भर ना तरसते रहो हो आज जाने की जिद ना करो कितना मासूम रंगीन है ये समा हुस्न और इश्क की आज महराज है कल की किस को खबर जाने जा कल की किस को खबर जाने जा रोक लो आज की रात को आज जाने की जिद ना करो यूं ही पहलू में बैठे रहो आज जाने की जिद ना करो Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Such a
Thank you.
soothing experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Next, I would like to call upon Binta for giving the gratitude speech.
Okay, I extend my heartiest gratitude for our spokespersons for this wonderful session. There is a Turkish proverb that says, if speaking is silver, then listening is gold. We hope that the participants who were with us today can gain something valuable from your words today. These impacts may be subtle, but the collective change that can have on our society is tremendous. Thank you, Prijith PK, Hayan Ramesh, Arathi MR, and Abhijith S for your wonderful words. We are very glad that we were able to provide an opportunity to share your experience as well as listen to your words. Thank you, Advocate Avani Bansal, for your knowledge into the legal system regarding the queer community. Thank you, Vidya Dinakaran, for the wonderful insight from a different perspective. Thank you, Karthik Hebar, for your words as well as your music. Next, I would like to thank the participants of the webinar. The warm response you gave us from the time of registration itself has motivated us to work hard and give you our best. Your curiosity and thirst for knowledge is what that drives us to organize such events. We request you to also provide a feedback on us in the Google, for which the link shall be given in the chat box. Now, I would like to thank the organizers behind the program and the entire NSUI team. I would also like to thank Sonata, who gave the inaugural address. And also I use this opportunity to thank our alumni, Sriraj, who provided us with beautiful videos for promotion. Have a great evening ahead, and let us hope to see each other someday with another topic. Thank you all.
Thank you all for joining us. We NSUI will be coming up with such kind of programs in the future also. So stay tuned and thank you all. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you.